Alright, so right now we're just giving this a test for a moment. We got a new microphone. And I just wanted to see, we were trying to make sure that it worked. So if you're with us, nobody's with us now, but if you watch it later, just fast forward it. You getting anything?
Hold on. Okay, watch. I can see it. Watch live video.
Alright. How about hearing it? Can you hear it? Does it sound fine? Does it need to be turned up? Something? What? The gain?
No, I think it's fine.
Okay.
About a 5-second delay, but yeah.
Okay. That's about normal, I think. Alright. You're ready.
All right. Welcome to the last, our last Bible study, midweek Bible study before next year, before
Of the year.
20, no, not the last one totally, but you never know, right? Before 2022 rolls in. So hopefully everybody has had a great year. Made the best of the year. Obviously some challenges with COVID and jobs and all those things, but still hopefully a great year. Thanks for joining us. And today, I was looking through the lectionary, and it seems it's appropriate to focus on this particular point. We're talking about the holy innocence. Holy, innocence. And we're tying that into how does loss affect us? How does grief affect us? And what do we do about it? Next week, we were hoping to have him on tonight, but he's not feeling well. So hopefully Jeff Parker will join us next week for a bit to talk about his nonprofit that focused on those people that are being mistreated, the innocents, in a sense. So we look forward to that next week, but we do pray for Jeff this week that he feels better. So, and we'll get into these scriptures in just a moment, but because I want to get Aaron's reaction on it again. Christmas season, and we're talking about these innocents. You're like, where is he going with that? All right, let's pray. Father, we thank you for this opportunity to share your word, to share it together. We thank you for your providence, for your provision, and we pray for hearts that will weep for those that are lost, that are impacted by the evils of the world, and for hearts that will do something about that evil in the world. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right, so I want to start off with Matthew chapter 2. And I've been focused on this throughout the week. A couple times had the privilege to speak at my uncle's church, talking a bit about Christmas this past Sunday, and then relayed some of the same message at the men's group. But we're in Matthew chapter 2. And if you know the story, this is the this is the portion of the Christmas, the first Christmas, or the second Christmas story that happens when the Magi come to visit. So looking at 2 and 16, Matthew 2 and 16. So leading up to this, the Magi, so they came, they visited. Herod said, "When you find out where the baby is, come back and tell me, because I want to worship him too." Okay. We know from biblical accounts that is not what Herod's intentions were, and the Magi were warned of that, and so they went back to their homes back east on another route. And so here's where we're going to focus portions of tonight.
Hi, Brittany.
Hey, Brittany, how you doing? When Herod realized that he had been outwitted, this is coming out of the New International Version, been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious and gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled, and we'll go to there in a minute, but that's Jeremiah 31. A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. So let's get into the conversation about this. So when you first read that, or kind of noticed that piece of it, obviously it's, the Christmas story, so the focus is on Jesus, Yeshua. But what's your kind of reaction when you turn your focus and you say, wow, all the baby boys in Jerusalem 2 years old and younger are going to be killed? So what are you thinking?
Moses.
Thinking Moses, okay.
Exact same thing. That's,
right.
Pharaoh kills all the babies, knowing that a prophet is coming.
Right.
So, and, Moses, of course, is put in the basket. And
right.
So, I see the similarity with Moses.
Okay. All right. What about from a kind of a emotional kind of community standpoint? What are kind of thoughts there?
Herod, king of the Jews, but not really king.
Right.
But he did himself no favors with the murder of the whole population of baby boys.
Right. Okay, say more about that. Murdering the baby boys, and so now they're not going to have an army because, well,
that's one. The inheritance of the land is also one thing. So every tribe was given a portion of Israel.
Okay.
Except for the Levites.
Right.
But every tribe was given part of the land to work. With the death of the firstborn.
Right.
Or I shouldn't say the firstborn, but all the baby boys.
That's right.
So one of the things that comes with that is, with Jewish tradition, that the women did not inherit the land. When they married into the new tribe. Okay. So say you were tribe of Benjamin and I'm tribe of Levite.
Yeah.
I marry into Benjamin.
Okay.
I don't bring any of Levite's land inheritance with me.
So are you no longer a Benjamite at that point if you marry into the Levite tribe?
Well, you're Benjamin. I'm Levite.
Okay.
So no, I'm no longer a Levite. I'm Benjamin.
Okay.
But I still came with a dowry, but no land inheritance.
Right.
And the reason that part of the reason that came about was so that all the land didn't end up with one or two tribes.
Okay.
So females didn't have land inheritance. But if you kill all the male children underneath the age of 2, I mean, there hopefully will be more male children born, but
right.
at least, and you're taking the chance that, you're not going to have, you've got no men coming into the family.
Right.
Your girls leave; they don't come in.
Right.
Except by birth.
Right.
So we've got a huge problem of land inheritance and all of that kind of such a thing.
Okay.
That's going to cause legal problems and that kind of issue. That's just, on a non-emotional thing.
Right.
But you're talking about killing children.
Right.
For no other reason than they might be.
Right. They might be the Messiah. Okay.
Brittany, you would think that behavior like this would have ended back in those days, but look at China, where they killed the girls for a long time.
That's right.
And now you're right. And now they have these crazy TV shows.
Right. If you are the one,
you're the one or whatever. Where this one guy goes up to, in front of 40 women, and they are literally like, nope. Right. Yes or no, I'm willing to, and no, you're too light skinned. I'm not. I'm out. And now, I mean, the men are leaving in order to find wives because there are no Chinese women. Women are, even the ugly ones are
commodities. Right. Yeah.
Exactly, hot commodities. And unless you as a man are a hot commodity, like really hot commodity, you ain't getting squat.
Yeah.
So, and you're right, they're running into a problem.
Sure.
There's another population that's running into that kind of problem with too much of one gender versus another. But you're right. You can't.
Now China actually wants to reverse the policy.
Exactly. I think they've gone to a 2-child policy even.
Right.
But yes, how many children died?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that almost every culture and religion on the planet, other than some of those really evil pagan ones. Hello, Miss Diana.
Hey,
how are you?
All right.
Glad you could join us. Almost every single religion or people group, culture, the killing of children is a no-no.
Right.
Think about it. Women and children to the boats first.
Right.
It's part of the reason that women weren't allowed in the military in so many different places for so long, is because you have no military force if you kill all the women who have to bear the kids. So, but killing of children is just obscene. There's just no reason. Like there's a special place in hell reserved for you.
Right. And and I look at it and I say, okay, wow. These children, from Herod's perspective, these children were killed because of their potential, because
they might be
the Messiah. They might hold promise. They might hold the promise of redemption for Israel. They might become that next king that all of
the real king. And of course, Herod does not want to give up his power and his authority.
That's right.
It's also hard to believe that someone is going to be held accountable for all those lives later on.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's in a special place in hell, Brittany, personally.
Yeah.
The fact that he did that.
Yeah. Obviously, it's all up to God. But you say, wow, that is a special kind of evil. And we look at but this is what, as we look at Matthew, this section, this is a fulfillment of the prophecy in Jeremiah. So we look at Jeremiah 31. Let's see here. Jeremiah. So I like to read the words. That way y'all know I'm not just making the words up.
Although you should be checking on him anyway.
You should always check on me.
On anybody. Anytime anybody ever gives you a verse or a chapter and then it says this, you need to double check it for yourself.
This is what the Lord says. This is Jeremiah 31 and 15, coming out of the NIV again. A voice is heard in Ramah, mourning and great weeping. Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. But then it goes on. This is what the Lord says. Restrain your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears, for your work will be rewarded, declares the Lord. They will return from the land of the enemy. So there is hope for your descendants, declares the Lord. Your children will return to their own land. So, I mean, what do you think when you hear that? I mean, yeah, all these 2-year-old and younger were killed. 2-year-old boys and younger were killed. Families were no doubt just emotionally stripped. Like, wow, we had nothing to do with this. We were just here, and now our baby boy is gone. But then we go into Jeremiah, and it says, restrain your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears, for your work will be rewarded, declares the Lord. They will return from the land of the enemy, so there's hope for your descendants. So how does that make you feel?
Well, it's one of those things that in the moment it's always a hard thing to remember.
Yeah.
And that's where, we were talking about.
Hey, Finney, how you doing?
Hey, Penny. We were talking about end of the year and God's promises. That was kind of the thought we were going with.
Yeah.
And that's the thing and that's where we have to remember God's promises are. They are.
Yeah.
It's not an if.
Yeah.
Or a when. It's a when, but it's not an if.
Right.
If you ride horses or motorcycles, it's not if you fall, it's when you fall.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. Hi, Rusty.
Hey, Rusty.
Not flying today, huh? Glad, because you guys got some storms out there. But anyway, yeah, so it's... The promise is... And it's easier to see, and I've talked about this before, about, it being easier for us to have faith to see or wait for his coming, whereas back in that day, they had, they had literally touched him. So when you're going to return is a lot more
imminent and
it's tangible. Now it's been 2,000 years, so it's not nearly the tangible kind of thing.
That's right.
But it's also that promise thing, and sometimes it's easy. It's easy to see in the rearview mirror than it is to see through the windshield, even though that mirror is that much smaller.
Right.
But I mean, you look back on it, on all of the times throughout history, but throughout the Bible, that it talks about God promising this, and it coming to fruition. From Sarah having a baby,
that's right,
way past, to lead you into the land of milk and honey, and I will give you a land to be your own.
Right.
I mean, think about the years that have come and gone between all of these things and all of the things that have happened historically.
Right.
You mean the Romans and the Greeks and the and the Persians and the Babylonians, taking over and swapping hands, and all you have to do is watch Kingdom of Heaven once to,
sure.
talk about, it's keep swapping hands back and forth. And the Crusades, there was 3 of them now, or something like that. But the land has returned to the Jewish people,
right?
And not only that, whereas it was a complete desert before, now it's fruitful.
Yeah.
And that life is short, pain is temporary, and that there's actually souls on the other side of this. Life doesn't stop after death, just communication. I agree.
Love it.
And that's the thing. And so what it says they'll return from the land of the enemy.
Right.
What do you mean they'll return from the land?
Right,
What's the enemy?
Well, yeah.
One of the things that, like, Catholics, and there's a few other denominations that talk about, there's an age at which you become responsible for your actions. And prior to that, God protects fools and children, kind of thing.
Right.
Before that, you're not responsible for, and you're not capable of, so it's like an automatic pass to heaven kind of idea.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. They'll return to your land.
Yeah.
So where is your land?
Right.
In truth, where do you store up your treasures?
That's right. Lay up your treasures
in heaven.
Absolutely.
So, and we've been on that fence too, or we've been in that valley and knowing that there's those that we'll have to meet later. Yeah. And there's many others that have been in that same situation that have lost loved ones, early or late. Where did they get that about the
about
the what kids?
About the age of accountability. She's
so Jews have it. Age of accountability. Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah, so for Catholics, it's you've probably heard about the First Communion, a child's First Communion. Okay. One of in most cases, it is an arbitrary age. Selected by men. I don't think that's. I think that's still part of it for the Jewish custom as well. But when Jews consider that, so confirmation, communion for Catholics, for Jews it would be a bar or a bat mitzvah. And that means that they are a son or daughter of the instruction. Bar is son. Mitzvot is instruction, commandments. And that means that you have reached a place in your education and your understanding that you are now responsible for your actions. And you're responsible for understanding what sin is and to whom your sin is. So
I think the question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, the question is it scriptural or is it church doctrine dogma?
Like a specific age?
Right.
I think that's dogma.
Is that kind of where you're going, Brittany?
If it is, it's dogma. It's doctrinal. Now, that being said, Protestants have certain books and Catholics have others and Greek Orthodox, there we go. I believe that God is intelligent. I haven't personally read about it anywhere in the Bible, but it's dangerous to put God in a box.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it used to be closer to the age of 13 for boys to have a bar mitzvah. As time has come on, though, that has actually gotten pushed back. Most men, and just because he didn't write it doesn't mean
he's not doing it.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
But like specific ages being 13, I'm pretty sure those are all man-made.
So so tell you what, let's do a little more digging on that, see if we can find where is that,
where did that come from,
where is that written, and we can post it
and we will.
That's a great question,
and we will. But like we were saying, in the land that they've gone to, emotionally, the one thing that obviously your heart's going to hurt, and any mother in particular, thank you, and any mother in particular, I'm not saying dads don't, but mothers being the ones that bear the children, to have their children ripped away and killed for no other reason that they were male and under the age of 2.
Right.
Just because they might be and somebody might lose power.
Right.
That is gut-wrenching.
Sure.
And it would make a lot of people very angry, for one.
Sure.
But to know the promise that they will return, even that I'll see them again in heaven,
right,
that has given me and others that I know comfort, especially for those that have lost. Okay, I don't get to know them now, but I will get to know them later.
Right.
And at least they're safe. They're safe in God's arms.
Right.
Does that help the hurt here? Not really.
Yeah.
But we have to hold to the promise.
Yeah.
We have to hold to the promise.
Right.
Moses said, Moses brought water from the rock.
Yeah.
We'll have the land of milk and honey. You will have a savior.
Yeah.
You will have, all of these things are promises.
Yeah.
And so far, there's a few prophecies not fulfilled.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that they won't be fulfilled.
Right.
Yeah.
And
in that case, you go back to like what Pastor Randy said the other day about if he doesn't, then that's okay too.
That's right.
And that goes back to our heart and where our heart is in accordance with his will.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's
absolutely. No, good. So as I think about it, looking at that promise that is laid out in Jeremiah, and then we'll go into Revelation in a minute, where again talks about that promise where the tears will be wiped away. But I think from some in some way it's a meaningful and eternal way that it is. There's some kind of consolation there, right? And the further we get from the event, whatever it is, hopefully that eases the pain. But ultimately, God says that hey, don't weep, don't cry. This is like you said, this is temporary stuff. This is on a scale of maybe a 60-year lifespan all the way to eternity. 60 years, 90 years, 120 years, if you live that long,
right,
that's a blip.
A
blip.
Yeah.
So that's how I receive what's being said in Jeremiah now. As I look at it, these children were physically lost. These children were physically killed, and this is where we'll hopefully get to engage with Jeff Parker next week. It's not always about that mortal loss, that they're actually dead. There are so many circumstances where children are being taken because the enemy doesn't have to kill your children in order to take them away from you. The enemy just has to grab their mind, maybe grab their body, kidnap them, whatever. Maybe heavy influence, left, right, whatever it is. And so, I think the promise is still the promise is still the same. The promise is still the same. Train a child up in the way they go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. But there is redemption on the other side. But I think there's also the idea that we can do something. We can do something in this world. In the home, train them up the way that they should go. Once they go out into the world, once they're in the community, maybe it's not your child or what have you, but we have so many opportunities to mentor and to jump out there and provide, provide that hope, guide people to that, guide people toward that promise of God, and His salvation. So yeah, even though Herod killed a bunch of kids, like literally a bunch of boys, there's still Herods out there, and they're not just killing kids. They're going after their minds. They're going after their bodies. They're going after all kinds of things, and it's killing their spirits. And so we got to be on the lookout for that, and we got to be, I think, active in countering that messaging. I think years ago they were saying that it might have been when the first Super Size Me movie came out, that y'all know what I'm talking about with Mickey D's, where they said that more children could recognize Ronald McDonald than they could recognize Jesus Christ.
Right.
So,
or the Golden Arches, yeah.
Right.
It's just what they're wish there were classes for parents on how to teach.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. And that's where people were relying on the church.
Yeah.
To be able to teach their kids.
Yeah.
And fortunately or unfortunately, some did not do their due diligence in making sure that who was there and who was not.
Right.
So, and what they were teaching.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that if you feel intimidated to not mess it up.
Right.
You know what?
Right.
That's one of the things that I find a lot of people miss, and is something that very much keeps me humble. Is that if you're teaching it, then you're responsible.
Yeah.
And too many people go into it with
kind of the know-it-all attitude.
Yeah, and a flippant attitude about it. And not that mindset that I'm responsible for teaching these kids the right way and the right thing, or not even that, but teaching you. That's what we're doing here. And we're going to be held to a standard, because what you're going to do is check it out for yourself. But then you're going to turn around and you're going to go, and you're going to turn around and teach somebody else. And if we've not done our job properly, if we've not done our research properly, then we're, you know what? It's almost another murder of the innocents.
Yeah.
Because we're leading people down the wrong path.
That's right.
By giving them the wrong information.
Yeah.
And I did look that up, by the way. A website that tends to be pretty accurate is gotquestions.com. Oh, .org. I'm sorry, .org. So the Bible tells that even if an infant or a child has not committed personal sin, all people are guilty before God because of inherited and imputed sin. Mm-hmm. Okay, inherited is which was passed on, obviously, inherited.
Because you're related to Adam and Eve.
That's why it's scary. What, teaching? That's why it's scary? That's a good thing. Fear can be a very good thing. Yeah. In Psalm 51:5, David wrote, "Surely I was sinful at birth, sinful from the time my mother conceived me." David recognizing that even at conception, he was a sinner.
Yeah.
The very sad fact is that sometimes infants die demonstrates that even infants are impacted by Adam's sin. Yes, Adam's sin, not Eve's sin. See, there's a problem. Since physical and spiritual death were the result of Adam's original sin. Yeah. Okay, but John 14, and so you go, wait, they don't, we're talking about age of accountability.
Right.
So John 14:6 says, "I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes through the Father but from me." Peter, it talks about it in Acts 4:12. Salvation is found in no one else and no other name. But the verse that speaks to babies being, or those that are
Okay.
not mentally capable,
right.
is in Romans 1:20. Since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, understood from what has been made, so that people are made without excuse. But clearly see. So babies, whether they have the sin or not, they are not of a mind to clearly see. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it says this leads to the question of children who have no faculty. Okay? Would their natural incapacity to observe and reason provide them with an excuse? Okay? So here's the thing. 1 John 2:2 says Jesus' atoning sacrifice for our sins, and not only for ours, but for the sins of the whole world.
Okay.
The verse is very clear that Messiah's death is sufficient for all sins, not just the sins of those who have specifically come to him in faith.
Okay.
All right? The fact that Christ's death was sufficient for all sin is that it is applicable in payment for those who were never capable of believing.
Okay.
Okay? So that's 1 John 2:2. So that's the one that allows for.
Okay.
So because his death is for all sins, for
Right.
all time, regardless of.
Okay.
Okay? So 13, and it says, and it confirms it here, 13 is considered this age of, based on Jewish tradition.
Okay.
That's the biggest custom.
Okay. So
There is no verse that gives a
Okay.
the date or an age.
So there's an allowance. What I hear you saying, there's an allowance for it, but the specifics of it is kind of worked out through the doctrine of the church or the tradition of.
You're saying the ages of, yeah.
Right. Okay.
But the biggest part of it is and it's covered there. It's covered for all sins, and yes, for the death was there for all sins, and that it was in everything that was made so that no one would have excuse. And they're absolutely right, but they're talking about people who have the mental faculty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
God protects fools and children. Okay. The etymology of fool in that context is mentally incapable.
Okay.
Is mentally handicapped.
Okay.
Okay. So in that,
But that's just a saying.
yes, but
Right.
it does have some back
Okay.
too. But the fact is that if you are not, okay, God is a loving God.
Yeah.
Okay, he is omniscient, omnipotent. Maybe sometimes things are not put into the Bible because people are too literal or barbaric.
Could be.
Absolutely. But think about it.
Maybe it would be bad if there was a number. That's true. That's true.
There's a reason there's not a birth date for Messiah.
Well, and I mean, there's so many things, and I love that you put that there. Maybe it would be bad if it was spelled out specifically. I've seen so many instances where preachers have preached on there's something that is not said in the Bible, and so it's open to interpretation. And it's open to the question of what would you do. I love it when Ronish, when he preached on the prodigal son.
Yes.
And he points out the fact that it doesn't say what the older brother did.
No.
The Bible doesn't tell you. And so it almost begs the question, what would you do?
Right.
What would you do, older brother, when the prodigal son returns and now all of a sudden you feel jilted because,
right.
Well, wait a minute, I haven't been treated well, so it kind of begs that question. But
it also goes with those who are first will be last.
Yeah.
In the kingdom of heaven. So the thing is that, yes, you know what? You talk about a number.
Yeah.
There was a Star Trek episode where they decided that rather than allow people to live into frailty and encumberments of their families, they had what they called the resolution. Okay. And so they all committed suicide at a certain age.
Yeah.
Okay? And that, I'm just saying, But why that age? Why not? Because there were plenty of people, like my grandparents, they lived into their 70s and 80s, actually quite healthy, whereas others are frail at 30. Yeah. So that's a thing. Giving a number makes things arbitrary.
Yeah.
Just like, like in the service where if you don't follow their golden path of you did this and went to that school and went here and went there, then you're off the path and we're not gonna. Or how about what that other gentleman said not too long ago? Different is bad. He didn't eat different because different is bad.
Oh, okay.
And think about how many things has that caused problems and harm to people because they're different.
Sure.
Being Jewish or, amen, I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Religion or skin tone.
Yeah.
Black is bad. I mean, what is that?
Right.
Or it's all of these things that it's a separation.
Right.
And so, yes, a number or a birth date or would cause that, would cause animosity.
Yeah, it would. I think you're absolutely right. And the other thing I'll throw in there is that, okay, so we have the entire Bible. We have all of human knowledge and all these things. We have all these things that God has told us. And what is there is 100% sufficient to get us to heaven. But I think too many times people use those exclusionary tactics to say you're not going to get into heaven because of this, you're not going to get there because of that, whatever. But in the end, I heard a preacher say, what, it's God's party, right? If you get to heaven and you look across the room and you're like, whoa, there's Saddam Hussein there. Like, you know what? It's God's party. Right?
It's God's party. Which reminds me of let the children come to me, for the kingdom, they'll inherit the kingdom. Those like these will inherit the kingdom.
Yeah.
So he's not going to allow people coming near him. And for crying out loud, he's the one that ate dinner with the sinners, Right. So being in the military, I feel this. Yeah. But that's the thing is that he's not saying that let the little children come to me.
Right.
Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But I don't think I'm so far off that some people don't feel comfortable
with not being
able to understand though.
And that's
don't want to ask the question.
And that's a beautiful and that's a beautiful way to express a human sentiment.
Some people want a literal spelled out path. You're right. They do.
Yeah.
And you know what though? I'm a type A and I like to know what's coming.
Yeah.
And he wants to fly by the seat of his pants and it drives me bananas.
Yeah.
And I cannot, it causes me so much anxiety. Now, that being said, we're sitting here waiting on the next assignment.
Right.
We know what's possible, but we also know that none of that could be possible too.
Right.
And it is I'm not going to lie. It causes me to be anxious, but at the same time, I have done what I can control.
Yeah.
We have prepared where we can with what we can. And I can't do any more than that.
Right.
And so that's where I have to be okay. But asking questions though, this is the thing, is that one of the things I've said that to people is I like being asked questions of stuff I don't know, because then I get to go learn something.
Right.
And then maybe I'm just weird.
Yeah.
And I like the different, because I then learn that even what makes us different isn't so different.
Right. So I look at Brittany's point, but some people don't feel comfortable with not being able to understand. So some people need a literal
spelled out path.
A literal spelled out path. So say a little more about that. So in what context are you talking?
Are you talking military, or are you just talking life?
Hey, how you doing?
Because
so it's got that 5-second delay, so
that's right.
she'll hear it. But
there we go. The way to heaven,
and who gets in and
who
doesn't. So here's what I'll say, right? And it actually that's great, because it kind of ties into this next verse in Revelation 21. I am concerned that the people with whom I have interaction understand the biblical way to get to heaven. I'm concerned that I understand the biblical way for me to get to heaven, for me to obtain and to attain to salvation, right? Salvation is found in no one else. There is no other name under heaven given unto men whereby we must be saved. And so that's the name of Jesus. That's it, period, point blank. If
belief in him, that
he confess with your mouth that you're a sinner, believe in your heart that Jesus is Lord,
that he died and he rose again, then
you'll be saved. That's it. That is the path. Straight is the gate, narrow is the way. And there are few that follow therein, right? So that is the way to get to heaven. So, back to what we talked about, what we were talking about up front, the children, ABC.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the way. So anybody that engages me, or that I'm able to engage on that level, they're gonna.
And I don't understand how over time Christians have developed so many different opinions when there's only one Bible.
Now that's good. That's good. So
there is, and this is how. Ready? Except there's a verse in Revelation that says, "Get thee away from me, I knew you not."
Yeah.
But Lord, we did miracles in your name.
That's not one of the criteria to get to heaven. It's not.
Right. So did they actually believe?
Right.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
Which is why when you said if Saddam Hussein's at God's party, it's God's party, right?
Right.
We don't know their heart.
That's right. And that's so, I think the differences really start to get into the dogma,
which is men, normally actually men, but men, human beings,
right,
making determinations,
right,
about what something says. We talked about twisted scriptures sort of last week. Also, there are many translations of the Bible, and subtle changes to meaning can occur.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we talked
about that last week too.
And a while ago we were having a conversation on that, but I do want to get back to that one. That's a great point. The translations, the words mean something.
Yes.
And so for every generation, as you see those words, it'll mean something a little different, and so that translation becomes
who has real wisdom and who doesn't. This is where your personal relationship with Messiah, with God, is going to come into play. It's going to be that time where, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Or you start getting goosebumps. That's when you're going to know.
Yeah.
Who's right and who's wrong. And not only that, but there's going to be confirmation.
Yeah.
There's going to be confirmations. And I know that gets used a lot. But it is in fact a thing. You're going to be talking about it. For example, we were talking about twisted scriptures and translations last week.
Right.
One of the things we said is if you wanted to continue this conversation, let us know.
Right.
And not that what we're talking about is not good. Not the topic we chose for tonight, but this is the confirmation that topic was necessary.
Yeah.
That there are still people out there who don't know or understand or trust themselves to choose to rightly divide.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you've got it, but it starts with you.
Yeah. And I think you said who has wisdom and who doesn't. That's a great point. And I would say that the one that will likely have wisdom is the one that is humble enough to go to God and ask for that wisdom. If anybody
and say, I don't know.
If anybody lacks wisdom, ask for it.
Amen. Personal time with the filling of the Holy Spirit. Try the Spirit by the Spirit.
By the Spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Relate it to KJV, the original. There's also strong concordance that breaks down the Greek and Hebrew. Okay. Katrisa, relate it to KJV, the original. You're gonna have to explain that a little more. But who has real wisdom? Who's a cult leader and who's legit? Yeah. Remember what I said? We talked about it earlier. Always check him.
Yeah.
If he says Revelation, then go back and check it.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right about. We had that conversation about what was it, Proverbs?
King James version. Yeah.
I know King James, but I'm not quite sure what you meant in the sentence.
Right.
And I know about New King James and that. But, we were talking, it was Proverbs, wasn't it? A friend being a friend.
Oh, yeah.
A friend has many friends.
Yeah,
so,
a friend, yeah.
It was either Psalms or Proverbs. It was Proverbs, wasn't it?
It is a proverb. And if you look in different versions of it, it says very different things. Yeah, that's what I meant, KJV. Okay.
That part I got. Spiritual manipulation is a thing. You're absolutely right.
So let me jump in here. That's fact. That's as they say, that's big facts, right? Spiritual manipulation. You see all these things where you're like, oh yeah, the smoke, the mirrors get you to cry, get you all this stuff. Give us your money, blah blah blah. Okay, but I always got to go back to what does the word say?
Right.
I've been several places where somebody that called himself, they're visiting preacher and they call themselves, oh, I'm a prophet, I'm an apostle, whatever. And
whoa, hold up.
I'm going to lay hands on you, and because I lay hands on you, you're going to have magical hands or something like that. I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go, right? Because
like you said, test. Sorry, friends, have to go. Dinner time. Love this discussion. It'll be posted so you can come back and finish it, Miss Fanny.
Yeah.
But you're right, and you're right. You have to. So you get that, and then you have to be tested. You have to try it. So when we talk about this thing in Proverbs, so he'd been taught this thing, friendly people are friendly. Or people who have friends are friendly, or something along those lines.
A man who would have friends must first show himself friendly.
Right.
Right.
So then we looked at some other versions.
Yeah.
Other translations, and that's not what it says.
It's actually the exact opposite.
It's like getting hurt, can be hurt by many, or led astray. And it was only a couple of versions that said one way versus another. One of the things that we decided on, especially when we read it in or we went to a Hebrew text, is that, and it said the same thing about being hurt, not being friendly, that it was a bad thing. We're like, okay, we're going to go with this because this is an original. It's Jewish. It was a Tanakh, an Old Testament written in. I'd roast that guy all day. Yes. So pray about who you feel isn't a leader and hear from the leader you feel is calling to shepherd to you. Yes. So what we were going with is that you're talking about confirmation and what is truth. So when you know, or when you know what it is. So when we look back at some other translations and saw that this is what it meant, and more said this way versus another, plus the Hebrew to English direct translation confirmed what the majority were saying, we're like, okay, that's not what that said.
Yeah.
So you've got to go, and based on Hebrew tradition of copying scripture, it's actually very, very reliable. But anyway.
So anyway, it's actually Proverbs 18 and 24. So I encourage you all to kind of take a look at go between the King James Version and the New International Version, Holman Christian Standard, and all those, and you'll see that there is a difference, and you're going to have to say, okay, well, which one seems more consistent? One, in the context, and two, seems legitimate from a godly spiritual
and you can
level.
parallel all of those things, all of those versions. You can literally parallel them, including the Orthodox Jewish, on Bible Hub. It's either Bible Hub or Bible Gateway.
Yeah.
But yes, so you're going to have to one, my experience, somebody that can make you feel not a bad uncomfortable, not a pervy uncomfortable, not a creepy uncomfortable, but an uncomfortable like, oh, maybe I should change how I'm doing things.
Right.
That person might be on the right track.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Right.
If somebody's just singing to you sunshine and rainbows, I would put that person on the suspect list.
Yeah.
Because it's not about being rainbow and sunshines all the time.
Right.
It's about changing who you are. It's about changing your heart.
Right.
It's about changing your life. And that's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
That's not a comfortable thing to do.
Right.
That's an extremely hard thing to do, but we're supposed to change my heart for what break my heart for what breaks yours.
Right.
Change who I am. Make my will your will. And we're not going to get there on an easy path. I mean, you don't turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger or Michael King by not going to the gym and sweating and stressing. It's just not happening.
I don't go to the gym. Anyway.
That's because he's built one at home.
So yeah, just food for thought, right? Proverbs 18:24 out of King James Version: a man that hath friends must first show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Okay, cool.
And a friend that sticks closer than a brother.
Okay, cool. So then I go over to NIV.
Hold on. For this subject, I wish there was a list of legit leaders and scammers, because people really don't know when too much is too much. When people are in an emotional place, they can be puppeted, especially friends and loved ones. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So I agree. If there was a litmus test that I could give you, I would absolutely give it to you. But the one thing that I'll say is, what is the focus? What is the focus of what the message is? If the focus is about, the first and second greatest commandments under the law.
Allow God to do the changes. We don't have that godly power to change ourselves. Trust God to transform us as often as we let go and let God.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true. Absolutely.
But yes, is the message, keep going, is the message.
Is the message centered on, on love God and love your fellow man? If it's centered on those two things, you're probably on the right path. And then once you have more time, get into the Word. Get into the Word. Read a reliable Bible. Get with some people. Two. Okay. Get with some people that you trust. And okay. Let them be the Paul to your Timothy. And okay, let me guide you through this, as long as it's somebody that you trust. But if all you have is that kind of principle, am I being driven closer to loving God? Am I being closer to loving my fellow man? And you have your Bible, I think you got a great place to start.
Think about it. Think about it how you would choose your friends. Are you going to choose the friend that's going to lie to you? Or are they going to say, hey girl, I don't know about that dress. You got other stuff you can wear. Okay? You want love yourself, love God, and love others. Exactly right.
That's it.
You're gonna want that person that is gonna love you enough to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Okay? Whether it hurts or not. I mean, don't be you don't need to be hit by the 2x4 to do it.
Right.
But you need to be told the honest to goodness truth.
Yeah.
And as hard as that may be, if that person can do that, then that person is real.
Yeah.
If you have a faith relationship, if you have a prayer life, if you have I'm not saying you have to hear from God. I'm not saying that you have to, hear a voice or feel a hand. But if you get those inclinations, like my sister was talking about it today, she was somewhere and she just felt the need to pay somebody else's, or a part of somebody else's bill. The pet was really injured or something. And it wasn't a lot, it was like $25 or something. But she put $25 on the other person's bill. And she just felt like that was something she needed to do. That is God.
Yeah.
That's God. My sister doesn't have $25 to just do that with. I'm not kidding. And so for her to give $25 to pay any portion of somebody else's vet bill when she's leaving the vet with a $700 bill herself, that's a God thing.
Yeah.
That's a God thing. And that's some of that confirmation.
Sure.
When you're getting that, and you're going to get that when you're open to listening.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the perfect relationship, but you have to be open to listening.
Yeah.
You have to be open to hearing it.
Yeah. No, that's good. So, that's good conversation. I'll say that, we could definitely talk more about the twisted scriptures, but I did want to kind of wrap back around as we get ready to close. We'll hang out, if people want to chat more or whatever.
But we want to be cognizant of other people's time if they want to cut out at the hour.
Yeah, I want to respect your time, of course. But one of the things that, what we were talking about up front was these children that, let me see here.
Like Ecclesiastes, there's a season for everything, including family, friends, loved ones. Not everyone will stay with you as you follow God. You'll lose those. Yeah. Yes, you will.
Yeah. But
yes, you will.
We were talking about those, the children that Herod murdered, the children that are being lost daily by whether it's trafficking or drugs or gangs or whatever it is.
Abuse, neglect.
Yeah. God has a plan that's on the other side of that, and we have to do our part. I believe we have to do our part inside of that. One is have faith in God. Understand that, He doesn't want us, he understands that we're hurting, because otherwise he wouldn't say, don't cry. He understands that it's painful for us, because otherwise he wouldn't say, hey, don't cry, because he understands that it's painful for us in this moment. But
he's lived it.
Yeah, and he's lived it. This is the one that I really wanted to hit you with. It's out of Revelation 21. Starting at verse 1. And I saw a new heaven.
Heather.
Hey, how you doing? I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them, and be their God. Verse 4, And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. So, when I think about those families that lost those, that lost those children that were all 2 years and under the hand, under the, I would say the evil hand of Herod, no doubt, if they lived for God, if they,
the parents,
if the parents lived for God, and they were like that criminal that was right next to Christ on the cross, said, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus said to him, this very day you will be with me in paradise. If they had that kind of faith, if they had that kind of belief, then they're in this category where God has wiped away their tears from their eyes. No more death, no more sorrow, no more crying, no more pain, because those things, they don't even exist anymore in that realm. The pain, the sorrow, the crying, it's done.
And they're with their children again.
Yeah. And so that's
brought them into their land.
Yeah.
Being New Jerusalem.
That's right. So
heaven on earth.
Things are painful. Things may have been painful in 2021. I don't know. 2022 may be painful as well. However, I'm not living to get to 2022. I'm not living to get to 2023. I'm living to get to heaven. That's my goal, because everything else, I think it might have been Raphael Warnock. He spoke at the Martin Luther King celebration at Tuskegee University before he got elected to the Senate, and he said, if your dreams can be completed in your lifetime, you're thinking too small. Now, he was talking about that from a perspective of, he's talking about that from a perspective of, maybe you got a Martin Luther King type dream, black and white living together, holding hands, singing "We Shall Overcome," all that stuff. But you can also take that to the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
If your dream, if all your dream is that, okay, I'm gonna have Bezos bucks and be able to have my own jet and get to the moon and Mars and all that stuff, that's probably, and that's the end all be all, that's too small of a dream. That's too small of a dream. If your dream is like, hey, I want to make I want to love God, I want to love my fellow man, and I want to live in this paradise with God on the other side, that's a right-sized dream.
I was just watching Paul Wilbur's. Can you imagine what it would be like if God didn't exist to make things accountable or right? I couldn't process that. Death
true.
with no accountability. That's why God has this system. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Right, because that jet staying behind when you turn to ashes, you're right.
That's right.
But Paul Wilbur was saying on his Motivational Monday podcast webcast thing, he was saying to love those who hate you.
Absolutely.
That's hard.
Bible.
And it is to love, like you're saying.
Bless those who persecute you.
Bless those who,
Yeah.
You turn the other cheek, give them your coat and your shirt, So can you do it?
Can you do it? That's always that question. Yes, he gives us these commands. Can you do it?
And obedience is better than sacrifice.
It is. It is.
Can we do it?
To obey is better than
Can
sacrifice.
we give him the gift?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're supposed to be giving him gifts on his birthday, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's how that goes.
Yeah.
Can we give him the gift of obedience?
Yeah.
Can we love our neighbor as ourselves? Can we love those who hate us?
Yeah. 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 So, yeah.
Can we be obedient?
Maybe we'll talk about New Year's resolutions next week. Talk about, really, because I believe that the best New Year's resolution that any of us could give is, because most New Year's resolutions are focused on what? Focused on me. I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to be faster. I'm going to eat better. All those things. But what if our resolve was to live more fully for Jesus? To
love God and love our neighbor.
Yeah.
Greatest gift is love.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So
no greater love. No greater love. Then you would lay down
for your brother.
Your life for your friend, your brother, depending on the translation. And you are my friends if you do whatever I commanded you. What did he command you?
Which he commanded you was to love God and love your neighbor.
That's it. Love one another.
You want to be his friend? That's what, or his brother? That's what you're going to do.
So, well, cool. We're going to conclude the official podcast, but we'll hang out for a few minutes. Anybody got any questions, thoughts, ideas, what you want to hear in the future? Like I said, next week, I really hope to have a good friend, Jeff Parker, on here. He's going to talk about his nonprofit, where they're really getting after some of this work.
Isn't it Project 153 or something like that?
I think so. Project 153.
He's specifically talking about, or his nonprofit is about trafficked children.
That's right.
Specifically in this area. He can't help everybody, but he
Right.
can help through here, this being Auburn being a very big
on the
pass
I-85
through
corridor. Yeah.
a big pass through of trafficked children in particular.
Yeah.
So that's what he and his wife have started their nonprofit to do, and we're going to have him on, like we said, to talk today to go with the Feast of Holy Innocents. But
Yeah.
you know, things happen, and we roll with it, right?
Yeah.
We roll with it.
So
It's hard. It's hard to get a Bible study with 3 kids, so I'm thankful and grateful for this. You're welcome, and trust me, I know.
well, thank you, and we'll pray out, and we certainly hope that you'll join us next week. We'll keep doing this.
And also, for another one, if you want to look at your faith foundations specifically, Biblical Feast, Foundations in Faith, it's the first Friday of every month, and I also webcast that. So, and it's at 6:00 as well, my time, Central Time. But if you're not in that group and want to be, please let me know. But again, I do that too. So there's another option, another opportunity for some study and some questions, from a very Hebraic, Hebrew point of view. But it being foundations in faith, and
Right.
Jews
Sure.
being foundations.
All right. Well, let's pray out, and then we'll hang out for a minute. Father God, thank you for your word. Thank you for those that have joined us, those that will view this later on. We just pray that our words and our hearts line up 100% in accordance with you. If we're wrong but you're right, then that's all that matters. So just give us the heart, the wisdom, and the knowledge to always share faithfully your word, and to just be a light unto this world. We pray for the holy innocents during this time of year, as we think about what Herod did more than 2,000 years ago, and what people are doing even today. We pray against that evil spirit that would take away the innocence of youth, either through murder or trafficking or whatever it is. And we pray that you give us the heart to rise up and be bold against systems which allow such oppression and such evil. And we thank you. We thank you that you are strong, that you are mighty. Give us that strength. Give us that hope to follow you. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right. Well, I'll definitely add both of you to that list. And First Friday.
All right.
It's nice and simple.
Yeah. First Fridays. All right. If y'all have any other questions, like I said, we're hanging out for a few minutes, and if y'all bow off the line, then we'll go do something else. But thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome to message us at any time if you have any questions. Like I said, we actually both enjoy questions we don't know the answers to, because we want to learn more, because there's more to learn. And we are so far from know-it-alls.
Yeah. I don't know much anything except what I read in this book here. So, no, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you on there.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And participating. And we, like I said before, we leave this up. So there are previous webcasts. So please go back and feel free to look and comment or take notes or whatever. Please. We like the interaction. I just wish we could Zoom it more, but it would get too... I think it would get too complicated.
I don't know. Maybe we can do it on Microsoft Teams or something like that.
Well, we could do it on Zoom. They did it like with 20 people.
Yeah, we got to have that super good account. So maybe we'll get that super good account to be able to do that.
Yeah, but that can't be on a Facebook thing. That's the unfortunate thing.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay.
That would have to be a separate thing.
All right. Love you too. Thank you. Thank you.
Be safe, all. See you in the new year.
Yep. Let me see here.
I think she's already in. I think Catrice is already in.
Okay.
And Brittany. Here she is. Just invited Miss Brittany. And I think, Catrice, you're already in the group. Let me double check. Yep, Catrice, you're already in.
You spoke my life into motion, my soul now to stand. You stood before my failure, carrying the cross from my shame. My son laid upon your shoulders, my soul now to stand. What can I say? What can I do? But offer this heart, oh God, completely to you. So I walk upon salvation, your spirit alive. My soul now to stand. What can I say? And what can I do? But offer this heart, oh God, completely to you. So I'll stand arms high and heart abandoned in awe of the one who gave it all. I'll stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrendered. All I am is yours. What can I say? And what can I do? Offer this heart, oh God, completely to you. What can I say? What can I do? But offer this heart, oh God, completely.